archaeology. Get out of there, Dan!
Hey everybody. Now I can see the screen, even though I'm watching this with a serious freaking lag, which is really disorienting. I'm hoping we sound good because I can't hear us yet. So eventually we'll have this dialed in to where we don't need to wonder. We just know we sound good.
True.
So,
maybe.
Yeah.
I'll wave.
Oh, there's absolutely no audio whatsoever.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. I see it right here.
Oh.
But there's nothing right. Hold on.
Sure. How's that? Is that better at all?
No, there's zero audio. It's interesting because I heard it coming out of the headphone jack over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still in the headphone jack?
I see it listing up there.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's working.
Yeah. So it's just not outputting.
I just can't hear anything.
No. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Test.
that.
Test.
Wait, how's that?
This shouldn't matter because I can see it there.
Yeah.
So why isn't it picking up the mic aux? Check your audio settings.
Hang on, see. Oh shoot! I always forget where that is. No. Duration, screening, filters. Oh, there we go. Oh, interesting. Oh, there we go. All right. So how's that? Is that still working? Is that working right now?
Well, there's a lag, so I won't know right away. So we'll wait for this and see if it's working. Oh, there we go. That's good. Now we're on top of it.
Oh, thank goodness already.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because you can't it takes too much CPU power for it to have the monitor setting on. That makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And monitor didn't need to be on, so we're good. So hi everybody. Welcome to You Call This Archaeology. And this actually sounds pretty good. There's no I think maybe that cable and whatever setup we had was causing a serious what do we call it? A serious like hiss in the mic, if that makes any sense.
Oh, all right. Because I was going to say something else.
Oh.
I've been watching people play Battlefront 2 Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say an imbalance in the Force.
Oh my god. Don't be such a geek. All right.
Oh my god, completely off topic, but have you been still following Discovery?
A little bit. Yeah, we've fallen off at a hair, but
oh, so you haven't seen the latest episode then?
No, definitely not.
Oh, so I'm not gonna spoil it.
Okay.
Have you been watching Orville?
Yes.
Oh, what'd you think of Thursday's episode?
I don't know if we're caught up on that either. We were a few episodes behind.
Oh, it's like the best one.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
Just like on the new episode, Discovery is the best one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. We dropping a bunch of frames?
No, actually, there's absolutely no one here. So for the first time ever, we are basically displaying perfectly.
Well, this is frozen on my side.
Really? Shoot.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out.
There we go. Because according to that, A, it's green, and B, according to drop frames, there's 0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might try to monitor.
Oh, there we are. We just started moving.
I know. Why doesn't it move when I'm in full screen? All right. So we're trying to figure out the best way to do all this, obviously. And I was using my iPad to monitor the video Nope. Why don't you just... Nope. God damn it. I swear to God, Facebook. Pissing me off. Where's the audio? Can I just do I just have no choice but to listen to this shit?
Well, you can't just turn it down?
Yeah, but that's stupid. Where's the mute button?
There is no mute button.
Alright. This is really pissing me off. Okay, so there's no good way to monitor the Facebook live stream. We need a third person to actually monitor the Facebook live stream.
Or alternatively, a third computer.
I know. So, well, let's get into this. Let's get into, what we're going to talk about today, which is who the hell knows what, quite frankly. I'm going to leave it there just in case I can see comments down here. That's all I need to see. So.
Oh, wait, you can't monitor comments?
They're not coming up in the full screen here. Oh, wait, that's the screen I need. Okay, there we go.
What did you do differently there?
I have no idea. Lauren joined. Lauren Huddleston.
Yo, Lauren.
How's it going, Lauren? Okay, so anyway,
yeah,
we have a lot that we want to talk about.
Oh
Richie, do you want to go first in your week of archaeology? It is currently, for anybody not paying attention, it is November 18th, a Saturday, the Saturday before Big Turkey Day.
Oh, it's true. Oh my God.
So yeah.
It has been, wow, one of the most interesting yet depressing weeks I've ever had.
Yeah?
I started a new job, and it's like one of those jobs that is very common here in Reno. It's at a warehouse, which isn't like necessarily a problem, because, you know, for the first year at the bookstore, I was pretty much in and out of the warehouse.
Yeah.
You know, but I was trying to put my finger on it, what was wrong, and then I started talking to coworkers, and they're like, what they loved about the job so much was that this job is so easy. You don't have to put any effort into it. And then I realized that's it.
Yeah.
It's like a case of been there, done that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do jobs because they're easy. I do them because they're interesting and challenging, which is why...
Who are you, John Kennedy?
Sort of. Well, I mean, it's like, why am I out there in January, like, you know, during, you know, when I was working as a full-time archaeologist, why was I out there in January, like, running, like, putting in 5 miles, you know, 3 miles, and stuff like that.
So you can blow past all the boundary lines.
All of them.
All of the boundary lines. Yes. Real quick, Lauren said cupcakes, yum, so you're not hiding, you're not fooling anybody with your cupcake over there.
No.
Everybody knows what it is.
More importantly, I thought it was funny that no one wanted any of the rings or any of those things, whatever those are.
Any of the rings?
Yeah, they were like little doodads.
I don't think they're chocolate. I don't think they're candy. I think they're like plastic.
I know, but like I think those are supposed to be prizes that you're supposed to take.
Yeah, I think somebody brought those cupcakes in. We're at the Reno Collective, where we broadcast from every week, and somebody left cupcakes. It was a good day. Actually, we're going to be busting out of here. If we go, I don't care how long we go. We kind of started a little later than we wanted to, but since we're not really on a schedule anyway, and nobody knows when we're going live, it's kind of like this pirate radio show that just pops up every once in a while.
Yeah.
We will be done at 4:30. Because my wife is bringing here the eggnog that I started to make yesterday, because we're having at the Reno Collective is a co-working space, and we're having our co-worksgiving today. At 4:30, everybody's going to be here, and everybody's bringing like a potluck deal for like a company Thanksgiving meal kind of thing.
And then more importantly, we'll start dropping 1 million frames because everyone is going to immediately be on their internet.
Yes, out by Wi-Fi. So. Anyway, my this recipe for eggnog, I gotta say it real quick. It takes the single recipe actually starts with just 6 eggs, but there's a bunch of people, and I always double it anyway because I always only make it for when they're going to a party or something like that.
Yeah.
I did 2.5 times the recipe, so there's 16 eggs. I separated the yolks and the whites, and all the whites go into a container for later.
Oh.
And then you take the yolks and you beat them with the beaters, and you mix in a whole bunch of sugar. It was almost 2 cups of sugar. You beat all that in, and then you mix in a whole bunch of whole milk.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of half and half, not half and half, a whole bunch of whole milk, and then a whole bunch of heavy cream.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I put in 1 3/4 cups of bourbon, and I put in another, I think, 1/4 cup of this dark rum that I have. And then I put in a little bit more of this other bourbon that I have. And so there's about 2.5 cups of hard alcohol in it.
Neat.
And then that sits overnight. It's sitting in the fridge right now. My wife actually just got home, and she's going to come here a little later because I walked here. And she's going to take the egg whites and then beat those into like a meringue till the stiff peaks on the egg whites. And then the egg whites get folded into the eggnog, and then you take the same, like 2 cups of heavy cream, whip that up, fold that into the eggnog, and then you just ladle it out, put a little nutmeg on it, and it's the most delicious thing you've ever had.
Wait, but I'm wondering why you don't use the pre-separated eggs. You know, I used to use the ones that come in the cartons.
Well, I mean, we need the whites and the yolks, though.
Yeah, but they sell, like, you know...
Just egg yolks? They sell just egg yolks? They sell egg whites. Do they sell egg yolks?
Oh, I guess those would be the whole eggs, then.
That's the whole egg.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Because that would be way convenient.
It would be convenient, but I had to get the flat of eggs at Costco instead. Hey, David Field joined. David Field, welcome to the internet, buddy. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, he's always on the internet. Actually, he was doing web design back when we were in...
Really?
He was starting to get into web design when we were back in China Lake. I don't know if he ever kept on with that or not, but...
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so your job is wonderful, and you love it. I've got to mention I've got to mention one thing I have on my checklist here before I forget.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, November 19th, I'm recording episode 124, I think, of the CRM Archaeology podcast.
Wow.
Tomorrow's also the 6-year anniversary of me releasing my first podcast ever. Yeah, 2011, November 19th, I released episode 1 of the CRM News Weekly.
Oh my god, and I'm probably like, what, one of 12 listeners you had?
Yeah. Jennifer Palmer was an early listener.
Really?
From arcfieldwork.com.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember her saying something on Facebook. I was like, wait, what, you listen? So, anyway, yeah, it was 6 years ago tomorrow that I started podcasting, and I think I've put out probably close to 1,000 episodes total of different shows, a bunch of different shows. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So, and then produced at least that many too with the APN and just doing, all the other shows that we have. So,
yeah,
it's been a crazy ride.
Neat.
And starting from, you're right, like a handful of listeners back then to at the end of this month, we should be over 100,000 subscribers. So that's pretty good run in 6 years, I think.
By the way, we definitely have to come up with a better way to mount these booms because it feels weird looking at you through this
Well, look at the camera. Just look at the camera. Yeah, I know. But that's like a radio show, though, right? I mean, how else do they do it? I don't know. Yeah. Well, you could orient yours a little differently and put this down and bring this up. You just have to.
I know, but now I'm lazy.
Modify it, yeah.
Wow, 100,000.
100,000.
Are you gonna give up prizes or something?
I don't know. Haven't really thought about it. We're just still in maintenance mode, trying to keep the APN running. So haven't really thought about. Prizes mean I have to spend money. So
true.
And there is no money to spend.
Yeah.
I actually, it's good to say this every time we're live. I've had people actually mention to me, they're like, oh, they'll make some snide remark about how, I'm somehow flush with cash because I run this podcast network. They've apparently never podcasted before. You don't make money doing podcasting. No. You can, and we probably will someday if we do it right. But just basic podcasting, the fact that you really hear any ads from outside people. We're trying to run a member site, and I'm not going to, we spend plenty of time talking about that. But we're trying to do that, and that's our monetization strategy. So, but we're focusing on content.
Yeah.
We're focused on putting out podcasts. So that's pretty much it.
Oh my god, and that's where that's also where almost my off time goes now these days.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Oh my god, that's the thing I think that annoys me about this job is the commute. Like I didn't factor it in. Yeah. It's like basically an hour and a half of like time I could be doing something else. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's what, because when I'm there, I don't even think about the job is so mindless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But do you get to listen to podcasts?
Nope. And I don't get to have a phone or anything personal back there.
Yeah.
It all has to stay in your locker. Literally, I am just like a mobile scanner, and I know, I'm actually starting to look at some of these packages I'm scanning.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that they're already getting ready to replace people with robots by like moving they're like moving like they're rearranging the packaging and everything. As soon as they figure out a way to make it so a robot can grab a package of dog food without breaking it, they will.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I'm not sure. Have you been to the McDonald's on Kiski?
No.
Or not Kiski, but Plum.
No.
You know what? They just rebuilt it. And guess what's inside?
Robot hamburger maker?
Well, they're getting there. But no, it's they've replaced the checkout people with kiosk.
Oh.
They have the register people, the cashiers.
Really?
Yeah. So the only reason you need to go up to the actual person is if A, the machines are broken, like the one night I went there, or if you want to pay cash.
Really?
But if you're paying with card or an app.
Yeah.
You don't need to interact with a person except when you pick up your food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say this, and I don't mind saying it to you, Richie, because I know you don't, you're not going to retire from this job.
Hell no.
But you know what? Quite frankly, the thing is, and I actually had an argument with somebody one time about self-checkout stands at grocery stores. They're like, we should never have self-checkout at the grocery store because that takes away somebody's job. I'm like, you know what? Jobs are fluid. We take away that job so they can do some other job, so they can do something else, so they can, do things. I don't think the answer to society's problems is let's not automate these tasks that literally nobody wants to do. You know, nobody who's doing this, while they all might be simultaneously pissed off that a robot is going to replace them someday, guaranteed. none of them actually want to be there.
No.
Like,
at all.
Like, they're pissed off that a robot's going to take their job that they don't want.
Yeah.
You know? So, I guess I think personally, and I don't want to get too much into politics on this, but the answer to the problem is stop having children.
That too.
Stop having so many children. There's no jobs for them. If you're having a kid this year, I'm sorry, that kid's going to be unemployed, and they're going to live with you until they're 30. So I hope you're ready for that.
Well, I was also saying, like, have a little ambition. Like, I know we talked about this partly last week, but, you know, in the time I quit the bookstore and got my first, like, what I call a bridge job, my transition to, like, my actual future career, hopefully, I've already gotten 3 jobs. And it's like, you know, and I'm literally, as soon as I'm done with that warehouse job, I go home and I, you know, hop on the computer and I'm doing stuff for the APN. And, like, I have a neighbor, and he's had, like, 1 interview since he got fired by text.
Nice.
Like, a month ago or something crazy like that.
Right.
Or I guess not, it could have been a month ago. It was right after we paid our last rent. So, like, 2.5 weeks ago? They're like, what have you been doing?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, I'm at the warehouse, and like, you know, obviously there's a lot of kids there. Like, it's their first job ever.
Yeah.
You know, and that's good. Like, they're getting work experience and stuff. But then you meet some of these people who are like, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70. I'm not even joking. Like, some of these people look like they're a million years old. And I met one dude, he's like, I never work hard. Ever. You know, I just cruise, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand that mindset personally.
Right.
Like, how can you subsist if you don't challenge yourself ever?
Dude, that's most people though. They don't challenge themselves. They just they're just trucking through life and trying to make ends meet. You know, and that's it.
That's crazy to me.
I know.
Like, you know, when I was working full time as a field tech all those years, every winter teach myself a new skill.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's like, what else would you do with yourself during the winter?
I know.
I mean, I know plenty of people just sit on the couch and drink and play their games, but it's like, I did that too and still learned something.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's one thing I love about this job is that we do have the flexibility. Some would call it's a liability or a hindrance, I guess, that we don't have full-time employment most of the time. But I see that as an awesome thing kind of about this job sometimes, because that saves you from burnout in a lot of cases. Like if you plan to be off for the winter and you can do something else and then plan to have that something else that you're doing be done by the time the field season starts back up again, don't get settled into that thing that you're doing. Yeah. But plan to be off, learn something new. Maybe take a job like the one you have that you don't really need to think much at, because maybe you do, you know, you're stressing out for the whole year. Yeah. In a good way. Yeah. And then you take a job where you just have to basically shut off, go into robot mode and do what you got to do. And then when you get home, you can take that brain power that you didn't really use at work too much and focus on learning something new. Yeah. You know, you're writing scripts for podcasts. Yeah. In your off time. Yeah, and I'm also gonna, as soon as like tomorrow, I was gonna start today, but I realized I wanted to make sure that the first day was like a day I paid for it, was the first day that I actually learned something. You know, so I'm gonna start studying for my new job tomorrow. Nice. Nice. Although, God, I thought it was interesting. I was talking, like, you know, I started talking to people there. Mm-hmm. And, like, I learned that the average stay for people at that job, maybe it's different at other warehouses, but at that job, the average stay is, like, 1 month. Like, see? Nice. Like, there's a lady there. She said she's coming up on her 1-year anniversary. And she said out of the all the people who joined up at the same time she did, you know, guess how many stayed? How many? 2. That's quite the turnaround. Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is that I think, I don't know, I have to see the way it's going to work out, but I feel like the problem is that it's not actually humanly possible to achieve the performance goals that they set, and therefore they're actually trying to set you up for failure. That way they can just have a constant stream of new people who they don't have to pay for, you know, they don't have to pay injury stuff for. Because, like, I was telling you before we got here, that I have never seen, like, I'm not going to describe, you know, to the audience exactly what I saw, but I will just say that I have never seen a workplace where there's like a stream of injured people leaving and like a stream of people just like limping around. It's like nuts. You haven't seen a Phase 3 excavation at the end of the field season when they're trying to pay for their off time, have you?
I have. I was in the Ruby. You know, and people there were like, I mean, God, we were going like crazy there.
Get the workers' comp claims going before they fire you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, my God, like that's, oh my God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, and you can't even have any, like, it's very difficult to have time off there.
Right, right.
And that's on top of the stupid commute. Like, I really, really, really didn't factor that in. Because, you know, when you got, like, when we were down El Centro, it's just like you just roll out of the bed and go downstairs.
Yeah. What is it, like 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Or more? Yeah.
Well, generally I leave an hour early because of traffic.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's the traffic to the damn Gigafactory, not where I'm going.
No. Once you pass there, it's clear sailing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, we're like the last stop right before the gate. So we're actually right where the traffic is like the worst.
You'd think they'd start shifts at staggered times there, like all the businesses out there would stagger their shifts so they don't have such bottlenecks.
No.
Yeah.
No, they start all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I know.
The only thing is that Tesla ends at a different time. So thankfully, when we're leaving, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But still, it's just like, oh my God.
Right.
It's just so, I don't know.
Well, let's move on to some sunnier things. We're starting kind of a new show on the APN on Monday.
Really?
A little bit.
Oh.
It's something I've wanted to do for a long time.
Wait, is it that show with Brian?
No.
Oh.
But it's actually just going to be a really short, another Facebook Live show. And we're not planning on recording this or putting this literally anywhere else because it wouldn't make any sense. But it's basically, I'm planning on it being no more than 10 or 15 minutes, and it's basically just going to be called This Week on the APN.
Oh.
And it's Tristan Boyle. He's got a new schedule. He's cleared his evenings for Mondays because it's going to be 8 o'clock GMT time for him and 12 for me. So
wait, 12 at night or 12 at
12 in the afternoon.
Oh, good.
So 12 in the afternoon Pacific time. And I don't care, you know, you probably won't be able to watch this if you're at work or something, obviously, but that doesn't matter because it's always going to be on the APN. So if you just come check our Facebook page after you get off work or something like that, or when you're on the way home, it's going to be basically, here's what we have coming up. Here are the episodes that we have coming up for the next, 7 days.
Yeah.
Until the next Monday. And maybe here's any other news we want to tell you or anything about the APN or anything like that. And it's a good time to start it, too, because it's pretty close to our 3-year anniversary of starting this, too.
It's also, close to, well, I guess not so close, but it's close enough to New Year's.
Yeah, I guess.
And you could probably be pinned to the top of the APN website, or page, right?
We can. Right now I have pinned to the top of the page my intro course on podcasting, which is free. So, just in case anyone wants to see that.
Wait, you can't pin more than one thing to the top?
Well, then it wouldn't be pinned to the top, would it?
Oh.
You can literally only pin one thing at the top. Otherwise, you'd have a cluster of pins at the top, like a hipster phone pole in Portland that's got band posters on it.
Ooh, well,
you wouldn't be able to see anything.
That's just the way I organize Keep.
No, you can only pin one thing on a Facebook page. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense. Then you just end up with a whole bunch of things pinned. So, but anyway, so take a look at that. We're planning the first one to be this Monday. Yeah. Like I said, if you do want to watch us live, we will answer questions. And we're also going to go through a little bit of growing pains on that one as well, because I'm going to have to do the live stream from my iPad, so we won't have these fancy thirds here. But well, the reason I have to do that is because when you do Facebook Live from a mobile device, you can swipe over and see the other people that are following the stream. So if I start the stream, Tristan comes in, I should be able to go split screen with him, and that's what we're hoping to do. So are we going to test this before then? No, we're just going to do it. So it's going to be a total shit show, but we're going to do it anyway. So that's the new show. Not really a show, but it's something I've wanted to do for a while just to help engage with our audience a little more. Yeah. You know, if you have any questions about the APN, you want to comment on a show, you want to ask us about the membership plans, you want to, find out whether or not you can microwave the coffee cups before you buy one, and the answer is yes. And see what's going on with there. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I've got one more kind of APN-related thing that I wanted to mention. And I just wanted to say, if we're impacting you in any way, positive or negative, I want to hear about it. Yeah. I got an email the other day, just a couple days ago, from this woman in India. And I didn't ask for her permission to give any details or information, so I'm not going to do that. But basically, she listens to the Arc 365 podcast, and she said that we have profoundly affected her life with the Arc 365 podcast.
Wait, really?
Yeah, she loves it. She's basically, she basically said that she's living vicariously through us by listening to that podcast and really connecting with archaeology. And she said it helped get her through some hard times as well, just listening to the APN shows.
Whoa.
And it's amazing. Yeah. And a lot of times we just sit here and we talk to you guys and nobody's interacting, nobody does anything, and we're like, okay, is anybody even listening to this? What the hell are we even sitting here for?
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to remember that people are in fact listening. And anytime, quite frankly, that I start feeling overwhelmed and I've got an episode that has to get out and I just haven't edited it yet because I'm too busy, and I stay up till midnight for the 1 o'clock in the morning release, and I'm thinking, my wife is sitting there going, what are you doing this for? And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I could just do this in the morning because really, who cares?
Yeah.
Or I could do it next week because really, who cares? There are actually people who care.
Thank God. It also makes me feel a lot better about the agonizing I do over, like, the script writing. Like, I mean, people might think that I'm just, like, completely copying, like, Wikipedia.
Right.
I mean, I do use that as a source, but I definitely am trying to make sure that it's understandable and comprehensible by an average person. And that I do my best to double check, but some of these you just can't double check.
No, and that's the thing too. So I'll make a note on the current spate of Arc 365 podcasts. It's I found a couple like Wikipedia entries that list out a whole bunch of sites across the world that I thought were really cool.
Yeah.
It just lists sites by country.
Yeah.
And there's one that lists sites by state as well, and it takes you basically to a starting point of the Wikipedia entry for that site, right?
Yeah.
And then most of those Wikipedia entries have further references to go along with them. Because all of Wikipedia entries should have at least one or two references, otherwise it won't be up there for very long. I mean, that's how it operates. So, and with controversial topics, like if we were talking about ancient aliens or something like that, then I would probably wonder about the Wikipedia pages, and I would be thinking, oh, somebody might be over here dropping in their pseudoscience and trying to get that past everybody, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about an archaeological site somewhere in the middle of Vermont or something like that. Probably 4 people care about that site. But the thing is,
they really care.
They really care, and it's a really neat site too, probably. Yeah. And so we're going to.
Should I shut the door?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Be right back.
I don't know if the food's in here or not. Anyway, the thing going on here in the collective.
Oh, ew, what's that?
So anyway, what we're trying to do with these Arc 365 podcasts right now for 2017 is really just get the basic information out.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's like 2 paragraphs of information on the Wikipedia page. You go to the references, and the Wikipedia page, it turns out, is a direct recitation of the National Register or UNESCO listing.
Oh my God.
And that's it. There's no additional information.
Or they're broken.
Or the links are broken, right. So then you've got to go do other research. But we're not spending a ton of time on these things. We're basically just trying to say, hey, you person who's listening to this episode, here's something you may not be aware of.
Yeah.
Go do some other research. Here's a link to the We're not hiding it. Here, I put a link to the Wikipedia entry right in this post. I'm like, listen, here it is. It might sound like all we're doing is reading a Wikipedia entry, but at least we're rephrasing it in terms that you can understand, and we're trying to cut it down and make it a little more manageable. And but really, it's a good starting point. And until somebody tells me a better resource for finding out about sites from around the world, aside from this podcast now, then I'll take it. I mean, I'm going to do that because I think it's more important that we not concern ourselves with the fact that they're Wikipedia entries, but it's more important that we talk about different sites from around the world and around the country, so people can be aware of them and understand them.
And oh my God, I think the worst articles. I used to think the worst articles were the ones that were written by non-English speakers, but I've come to realize it's the ones that are written by people who don't understand archaeology and are trying to explain archaeology. And so I'm sitting there trying to think, what are they actually trying to say? Yeah. Because some of those Wikipedia articles literally make no sense, and I have to literally completely rework them so that someone can understand what they're talking about. Right. Like last night, I was looking at a site. I was looking at this like giant paragraph, and it just lists pretty much every complex in like North American archaeology. North American prehistoric archaeology. I'm trying to figure out, well, what does that mean? Well, what does this mean? Yeah. And so it took me forever to work out, basically this site was just like, They just found it was just intact, and it featured every known complex ever found in North America, and they were all in situ, so you could actually work out a timeline of a chronology of when what came when. Nice. Yeah. And what they were doing with them. Right. But it literally took them like 500 words to explain that.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's what happens. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I'm going to say is that's what we're doing right now on the Arc 365 podcast. However, things are going to be slightly different coming up in 2018. I'm not going to say that we're not going to continue doing some of this. Yeah. But we have a team that's actually working on the 2018 right now. And they've already filled out a lot of the topics for January and February. Yeah. And we've got Acacia Berry, who's helping us. She's from the archaeological analytics side. And she's going to be highlighting, because they do this this blog on that's basically like an artifact of the week kind of thing. Wow. And she's going to be highlighting different artifacts and talking about the history of those and, you know, the information she knows as some of the episodes. Neat. And then one of the other guys that's running it, he's a big time Irish archaeologist, and he's also one of the first pro members subscribers to the APN, and he's going to be doing a lot of stuff initially anyway, focused around what he knows in that part of the world, which is a huge hole for what we've talked about, because I have no knowledge of that stuff. Yeah. So, you know, it's great to have that diversity now. Yeah. So, see, we have been doing this format, you know, you and I could have been talking about cans. I know, right? Yeah. Tin cans. The tin can cast. The tin cast. Let's do that. It'll just be all tin cans. Oh my god, no one would listen to that. Well, I was thinking actually about bringing my bottle collection in here and we could like go over them. Nice. Nice. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe when we get the studio over here and we get a video podcast, we can have the Bottle of the Week podcast. It'll just turn into a drunken escapade, and the bottle will be like an empty, you know, bullet bourbon bottle. This is brand new last week. So, oh my god. I thought those are the coolest things when they came out. Yeah, yeah. All right, in the interest of time, I want to move through a couple other things that I wanted to talk about personally here. Ooh, like CPR? We'll get to that in a minute, but I want to talk about this next one here. I signed up for, it's a free class if you're a member of the SAAs. I don't think it's available to non-members like some of their classes are, but if you're a member of the Society for American Archaeology, go to their website, check out the webinars, and I think this is on December 6th, which is going to be tricky because on that day I'll be driving to Central Oregon. So I'm going to have to pull over to do this webinar because it's a webinar, I can't remember what they called it, but it's basically a tool for archaeologists. Well, it's designed to be a webinar that teaches archaeologists how to use new media resources, new media, to do public archaeology, basically. Yeah. And what they're talking about, when they say media and new media resources, they say in their description, like doing op-eds in newspapers, getting on TV stations, you know, blog writing, and other things like that. Guess what they didn't mention? Podcasting. Oh, I thought you were about to say social media. No, that's people say social media now too. So maybe they mentioned that in there. I don't even know. But they're not talking about posts. They're talking about basically article-based things. That's why they meant op-eds and blogs and stuff like that. But they didn't mention podcasting and or YouTubing. Yeah, and I'm gonna join in with that webinar. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna listen, and then when it comes to the question and answer period, I'm gonna be like, get your head out of your ass, SAA. Yeah. You know how many times I have contacted them to say, hey, do you guys want to do an SAA-sponsored show? Do you want to be interviewed? Do you want to be associated with this 100,000 listener network at all? And crickets. They just don't understand it. They just don't get it. There's nobody there that actually understands it or cares. And I think it would be amazing for the SAA, the SHA, the AIA to all have their own podcast, quite frankly. I don't care if they're on the APN. But to have their own shows that highlight their members and the articles and the things that they have coming out. And yet, how many people did they inspire to get into this whole thing with that panel? How many years ago was that? Which panel? The SAAs. But what panel? The one in Sacramento. Oh yeah, the blogging archaeology thing that Colleen Morgan set up. Yeah, that was transformative. That got me into this whole thing. Yeah, same here. Yeah. So, but that wasn't the SAAs. That was just Colleen. Really? Yeah, that was a session called Blogging Archaeology that was individually put up by her. The SAAs was not, I mean, that was just, she proposed it, and then they had the session. You know, I did the blogging archaeology session there for the next, like, 4 years. Yeah. So, I stopped it because, well, blogs are dead. So, I don't know. Mine is. I was getting pushback from a few people doing it after I did it the first few years. And the people that were, because the SAA limits the number of times, roles that you can have. You can only present a paper once.
Oh.
You can co-author multiple times. You can be on a panel. You can be a discussant, but you can't be a presenter more than once.
Oh.
So people are like, well, I'm not going to present on blogging specifically when I have my own paper to present somewhere else. So once you run through the pool of prolific bloggers, you're pretty much done. You need people that are passionate about public archaeology and blogging as a thing, or podcasting as a thing, to really make the session, do well every year. Yeah. But then I started wondering, what the hell's the point of these sessions anyway? The only people that are interested in it actually show up, and you might get a few people to start something and to do something on their own, but these aren't instructional sessions. That's not what the SAA presentations are set up as.
Man, they probably get more. They probably get more people if they did.
I know, they need to have workshops.
Yeah.
They need to have workshops. I want to have a workshop, my podcasting workshop. Ooh. I want to have that workshop at the SAA so people can learn how to do this and learn how to do a really effective way of putting out information about public archaeology that's free to the public and actually easy and cheap to do. Yeah. So you don't need this whole setup. You don't need all this stuff.
No.
I started with a $50 microphone and the software that came with my computer.
Yeah.
6 years ago tomorrow. So 6 years ago today, I was nervous about my first episode coming out. So,
oh my God! You want to know what happened 7 years ago?
What's that?
Today? Today was like oh God, Virgin Valley. The Virgin Valley section of the Ruby Pipeline, the one where it's camped out, broke up. Like I have a picture on my Facebook of like the empty campsite.
Nice.
Oh my God! I can still remember our oh God, I forgot what our section lead, for that section was so angry that some people cleaned up their stuff and then hopped in the truck and took off, even though there were like a whole bunch of like canvas tents we had to set down, to take down. We couldn't leave anything, obviously, because it's a wildlife refuge.
Right. Nice.
Oh my God! And it was the first time I started up my truck in like what, 3 or 4 months.
Right. Yeah.
And it actually almost didn't turn over. Not even joking. It was like, oh my God, what the... And I was the last one in camp, so I'm like, well, shit, that almost happened.
Yeah, word to the wise, if you're winterizing your vehicle and not going to drive it over the winter, be sure to winterize it properly. Take the battery, disconnect it. You might need some fuel additive when you go to start it up the next time.
Oh.
So your fuel doesn't go stale.
That's true. I do that in my Volkswagen. My truck I usually don't. Although I am probably going to start using it next week, just because it's, we had like our first snow, like what, yesterday?
Yesterday morning we woke up to it snowing right downtown. Yeah, nothing stuck, but it was still pretty neat to see. Yeah,
and I'm definitely not going to subject my VW to like that commute through the snow.
Right.
At all.
Yeah. Nice. All right, one thing Richie mentioned, another thing I want to mention, because I'm in the Civil Air Patrol here, and one of my people is he's like a safety expert. It's what he does for a living, and he's CPR trainer certified.
Ooh. And
we did actually the first aid class here in this building back in June, but then he's also highly sought after as the safety person for wildland fires.
Really?
So when there's a fire anywhere in the western United States, he's on the list of people they call, and then he goes out to the fire, and he's the safety person on the fire.
Neat.
So we didn't do the last half of the class. So the card is supposed to be first aid CPR that you get. That's like the 8-hour course or 9-hour course or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so we just finished off the CPR today, and because mine expired this summer, so I wanted to get it redone. But I just wanted to put out there, if your company's not requiring first aid CPR, you should ask them to do that so they can pay for it. Now, I only paid $10 because it was an in-house kind of thing, but it's normally $90 to $100. So you want to have your company cover that for you.
Yeah.
But it's such a good thing to have, and I'll tell you why. I mean, I'm sitting here in my 3rd floor office here at the Reno Collective, and it was 3 days ago, I think.
Yeah.
That was like Wednesday or something like that. I had my headphones in, like most people do here, and I think I was editing podcasts probably because that's my life now. And I heard this low, like a crash, but it wasn't like high pitched or anything like that. There was no screeching.
Wait,
I just
you mean out here in the corner?
Yes.
I drove through that.
Yeah, a lot of people drove through that.
Yeah.
And I heard something, and I was like, and I just kept on going about my business, and it was maybe 10, 15 seconds went by, and I was like, wait, what was that? And we have a door that's on our 3rd floor, and I went outside the door, And that's when I saw a Subaru with its front end totally destroyed sitting in the intersection, and then another nicer car sitting down the street a little ways.
Oh my god, it wasn't
fluids coming from both of them.
It wasn't just a nicer car. My god, that was like one of the new Cadillacs.
Yeah, it was a pretty new car. Yeah, the Subaru, not so much.
No.
But the guy in the Subaru was already walking around, so he was already out. His airbag was deployed.
Yeah.
The Cadillac, all the airbags were deployed. The side curtain airbags, everything was deployed. And because it seemed like it was a front side impact kind of.
Ooh.
He said that she was coming around him. He was waiting to turn, and she was trying to go around another car or something like that and smash right into him or something.
Wait, who?
I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, the point of this story is, I do have first aid CPR training. I have kept it mostly up for probably the last 10 years. I've had some periods where it's expired a little bit, but I've had recurrent enough training that I know what to do.
Yeah.
Nobody here downstairs. People were in the front room, and they were all just looking out the window.
What?
And I'm like, what is going on? And people were just driving through the intersection, crunching over car parts, and trying to get through there. Nobody was stopped. I saw one person on the phone, and I'm like, son of a bitch. And I took my phone, I ran out there.
Yeah.
The guy in the Subaru was okay. The woman and younger girl, she's like a teenager, that were in the car, they were already out of the car. The girl, her face was all bloody. I think she broke her nose or something. She got a bloody nose somehow. She did something to it. And I made sure she was okay. You know, she didn't need any real medical treatment that I could provide anyway, because first aid is not for that. First aid is, are you okay and going to die right now? Are you going to be okay till the paramedics get here?
Yeah.
So nobody needed CPR, nothing like that. So, but I went out there to check, because I've taken these classes enough to know that I can be effective in at least help calming somebody down.
Yeah.
You know, and saying, hey, it's going to be okay. Let's get 911 called. We don't have an AED here, which we probably should.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, just to let everybody know, take the CPR first aid class.
Yeah.
And in case you haven't had CPR in a while, again, this is not training. This is not license. No. This doesn't empower you to do anything. This doesn't require you to do anything. But if you do have to do CPR on somebody, 30 compressions at 100.
Is that what it is now?
It's 30 compressions at 100 to 120 beats per minute. So it's, I've always heard, and it kind of works, to sing "Staying Alive" in your head. Staying alive.
Wait, but how many breaths to how many compressions?
Well, 30 and then 2. 30 and 2. Yeah. Some people say 15 and 2.
Yeah.
But what we're told is that's only if there's 2 people and you're going relatively quickly back and forth for some reason. But generally, you're by yourself. Or even if you're with another person, the now accepted thing is 30 and 2. And he actually told us that coming down the line in the future, it's probably going to be 60 compressions and 2, because they said the compressions are actually more important, because the minute you stop compressions for more than about 5 to 10 seconds, because you do have to stop every once in a while to breathe, and then if you have an AED plugged in, every couple minutes, it will say stand back, it will assess the heart rhythm, and then it will shock them if necessary, and then it'll say start compression again. So that's generally about 2-minute cycle. And they also say, if you do have somebody else there that knows CPR, even if you're not tired, you should switch out every 2 minutes. So if you have an AED plugged in, when it does that reanalysis, is a good time to swap out.
Oh, wait, did you get one of the, because I remember one of my favorite things I always carry in my pack is, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say favorite, but it's like a cool thing I got from one of my CPR trainings was like this little bag, and it had like a mask with an air tube, and you know, you put it on the person's face, so that way you're not actually touching their lips. You can just like blow into the thing.
Yeah, it's handy if you have one of those. He didn't give us one of those. We had one for the class, and this little insert that goes into the mask, so you can just put your insert in the same mask. And also this little sheet thing that kind of goes over the lips if you're doing straight mouth to mouth.
Ooh, you know, this is actually a molded mask.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there's both. Yeah. Both options, yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah. And this class went down to child and infant CPR as well.
Ooh.
So, but anyway, if you're out in the field, something happens. Again, I'm not advising you to do this without training. However, I mean, if it looks like they're going to die anyway and nobody else is around, the worst you can do is try. And
more importantly, if you think it might not happen, you are wrong. I know of at least 2 instances. One instance involves a very famous company here in the Great Basin. One of their field techs was feeling faint, and he eventually collapsed. And they were doing CPR on him for an hour because they were just out in the boonies, and there's no way to get someone airlifted.
Yeah.
You know, that quickly.
Yeah, and if you're keeping blood flowing to the brain, as long as they can get their heart started again, they're probably going to be okay.
Unfortunately, they were doing CPR for an hour, and this person did not survive.
Yeah, well...
And the crew chief felt super guilty because, because the first time he felt ill, because he was really trying to push his crew hard to get this section done. And the first time this dude didn't feel ill, they were right near the truck, and he could have just left them there, but he kept them going.
Right.
And so he always second guesses himself.
Well, and you remember the guy we worked with that had like 3 or 4 open heart surgeries or bypasses, whatever the hell.
Old Tig.
Oh my God. Yeah. He, I mean, I don't understand how I didn't have to do CPR on him at least once. So.
Oh my God, or that new girl you had?
Oh my God. Yeah, her too. Anyway, I'm just saying, if you can go, even if you got to do it on your own, it's such a good thing to do. Yeah. And to have multiple people on the crew that know how to do that. Yeah. And you don't just do this training once and then understand how to do it. You really need to go through it a few times. Yeah. Before it starts to sink in, before you feel, they even say it right at the beginning, before you feel empowered enough to step up and do something rather than just be a bystander. Yeah. So.
By the way, speaking of stupid, something similar happened outside my apartment. I probably talked about the podcast, but this dude ran into a power pole, knocked it down, and it was still freaking live, and people were still driving by. Right. And it's like, what is so important that you'd rather drive over a live power pole, power line? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, like yesterday I was reading on Facebook. I shouldn't bring this up, because, it's like now we're totally getting on more of a tangent than normal. But this lady was shot and dying, and this woman, and she was trying to like get a ride to the hospital, and she found some woman, and the woman kicked her out of a car because it's only a 2-seater, and I'm late to work.
Nice.
Yeah, and she wouldn't take her to the hospital. Like, multiple people did that, and I'm like, what type of world do we live in where you can't, like, you'd rather let someone die in the street than get to your job, where your job is so important that, you'd rather do that.
Well, and that was the thing with this accident the other day. People were just, before the police and the ambulances got there, which was probably 7-8 minutes. I mean, really? it was a shockingly long time, I thought. Wow. That's what it felt like to me anyway. And before that, though, this is a very, very busy intersection from 4 to 6 p.m. Yes. And this was right at about 4:15 that it happened. 4:15 that it happened, and it was just people just. They were going through there's an open parking lot over here off of one quarter of the intersection, and people were just trying to detour through that, and they were almost causing additional accidents because they were just trying to get through and not do anything. The police got there and they're like, nope, screw you, this lane is closed, so they closed off the whole street. Yeah. And then they were directing people through the other side of the intersection. But even then, the cop was like having a hell of a time trying to get people to pay attention to him. They were just looking at the light, not even paying attention to the fact that there's a car leaking fluids all over, literally in the middle of the road. Yeah, so it was just people focused in their own world, just moving right along. So, hey, somebody gave us a sad face. I don't know if that was for this story or not. Ooh. But we got a sad face. Hopefully it wasn't for our podcast. No. So,
well, I mean, hopefully it was for the field tech that passed away, because, man, that was like oh my God, that was like, if you work in the Great Basin, I think most people, tangentially know the story of what I'm talking about and which company and which crew chief. And, the worst part is that this field tech was on a crew with a relative of his. So the relative was there. Right. Which was, oh my God, I wouldn't think about it. Yeah. And, of course, it makes me think of Mr. Yeti. Yeah, yeah. I know who you're talking about, yeah. Yeah, it's like, man.
Yep. I don't even know how he went. It could have been a heart attack in the field. I totally believe that. True. So. And, you have to know how to do these things, too, because some people are not of a size that makes it easy to do some of these things. True. So, anyway, I think that's probably about it for this episode. We're going to have some eggnog if my wife is here shortly, and have some pre-Thanksgiving food, and see how that goes. You got anything last minute for the end of the week?
Let's see. Not really.
Are we moving these to Wednesdays?
Well, if I have mandatory overtime coming up, then probably not for at least the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we might be scrapping the show for just a little while. We might end up doing that.
I'll definitely have days off, because I have 3 total days off, and I don't think they take away all of them.
No, but the weekend after Thanksgiving, from Wednesday to Sunday, I'll be in Washington, D.C. Oh. And then the week after that, from Wednesday to Wednesday, I'll be in, the Oregon coast, Portland, Seattle, and back. Wow. So there's a lot of travel coming up.
Yeah. Well, it is the holidays.
And it's the holidays, yeah. So, there's a lot of travel. There's a lot of things I've got going on with Civil Air Patrol. So we'll figure out a good time. But anyway, like I said, this is more like a pirate radio show anyway. So we'll just show up whenever the hell we show up.
True.
And call it good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although there won't always be cupcakes, unfortunately.
There will not always be cupcakes. That's, I think, going to go on a coffee mug. That's the motto for archaeology. There will not always be cupcakes. Sometimes there are. But most of the time, there will not always be cupcakes.
Oh, my God.
On that note, I think we should end the stream.
Fine.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, don't forget to watch the uploads and my videos on Happy Archaeology Fun Time.
That's right. Yeah, and he's got a Facebook page too. I don't know if these will ever go up on audio. I actually don't kind of want them to. I just want them to be live every week. Yeah, what the hell's the point? Who's going to come back and listen to this?
You'd be surprised.
I know.
Oh, man, we didn't even get to talk about your new H6 or anything.
That's all right. This is not a tech show.
Fine.
All right.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.